I had managed idols before. Some were arrogant. Some were careless. Some thought fame made them untouchable. But Raven? Raven was something else entirely. From the moment I walked into that rehearsal hall, I knew this assignment was going to test me in ways no contract ever had. He didn't even glance at me at first. He lounged across the studio floor, long legs stretched out, a water bottle dangling from his hand like it weighed nothing. Sweat clung to his skin in a way that should have made him look tired, but instead it made him dangerous, like a predator resting only because he chose to. Raven, I said evenly, clipboard in hand, voice clipped, professional. I'm Cassian Ward, your new manager. His eyes flicked up to me at last, dark, sharp, unreadable. Then, slowly, his lips curved into something that wasn't quite a smile. My manager, huh? He said the word like it tasted bitter. They must think I'm a handful. They're not wrong. I didn't let my tone waver. From today, your schedule, rehearsals, appearances, all of it runs through me. My job is to make sure you don't burn out or screw up. He tilted his head back and laughed, low and amused. So, babysitter. I clenched my jaw. Manager. He pushed himself up in one fluid motion, coming closer. Too close. His height cast a faint shadow over me, even though the room was flooded with fluorescent light. You look too serious for this kind of job. Stiff. Tight. Like you'd snap in half if someone bent you the wrong way. The heat of his gaze dragged over me like he was testing the weight of his words. I refused to step back. If I snap, I said, voice cool, it'll be because you wasted my time. For a second, his grin faltered. Then it came back, sharper. You're not scared of me. You're not worth being scared of. That did it. His eyes lit up, not with anger, but with something else, interest. The first week was hell. Raven skipped call times. Showed up late to interviews with his shirt half-buttoned, like he wanted scandal written into the headlines. During rehearsals, he deliberately pushed harder than the choreographers asked, like he was trying to collapse just to prove no one could stop him. And through it all, he never missed a chance to test me. Cassian, relax. Your face will crack if you keep frowning like that. Did you write that schedule with your blood? You guard it like it's sacred. Tell me, do you ever loosen your tie? Or do you sleep in it? Each barb came with a smirk, and sometimes, worse, with sudden closeness. A hand brushing mine as he reached for a pen. His breath too close at my ear when he leaned over to read the clipboard. Eyes dragging over me, deliberate, watching for my reaction. He wanted me to flinch, to lose my composure. I refused, but that didn't mean I wasn't affected. Every night, alone in my apartment, I could still feel the echo of his nearness, the heat of his voice, the way he looked at me like I was a puzzle he couldn't wait to take apart. The breaking point came after rehearsal on the 5th day. Raven lingered long after the others had left, tossing his water bottle into the air and catching it lazily. I was packing up the notes when he called out, Cassian. I didn't look up. We're done for the night. Go home. Instead of leaving, he crossed the room, his footsteps slow and deliberate. When he spoke again, his voice was lower. Not mocking. Not playful. Dangerous. Why are you still here? I looked at him then, frowning. It's my job. No, he said, closing the distance until he was right in front of me. His eyes caught the dim light, glinting like glass on the edge of breaking. Everyone else leaves. They don't watch. You stay. Why? My pulse jumped. His tone wasn't bratty now. It was searching. Pressing. Too sharp. I swallowed hard. Because I don't trust you not to overwork yourself. Or self-destruct. He tilted his head, lips twitching like I'd said something amusing. Then he leaned down, close enough that I could feel his breath skim my cheek. Careful, he murmured. You sound almost concerned. Heat shot through me unbidden. He knew it. His grin spread slow and dangerous. That was when I snapped. I shoved him back, hard enough that his water bottle clattered to the floor. Enough! My voice was low, steadier than I felt. I'm not here to play your games. I don't care how famous you are, or how untouchable you think you've become. You will not break me. For a moment, silence. His chest rose and fell, his smile gone. I thought I'd finally struck a nerve. Then he laughed. Not light. Not mocking. Dark and rich, curling around the edges of the room. Oh, Raven whispered, eyes blazing with something I couldn't name. I like you. The smirk returned as he bent to pick up the bottle, rolling it between his fingers. This is going to be fun. I turned away before he could see the way my hands trembled. Because for the first time in years, I wasn't sure if I could keep my walls intact. Raven didn't stop after I shoved him away. If anything, he seemed entertained. In the days that followed, he came at me harder, not in open defiance like before, but with something sharper, quieter. His mockery was deliberate now, like he was probing for weaknesses instead of throwing tantrums. It was almost worse. At least tantrums you could ignore. But Raven's eyes, they lingered. Calculating. Waiting for me to crack. I refused to give him the satisfaction. The fourth night, the studio was empty long past rehearsal. I'd forgotten my clipboard in the chaos and came back for it, only to hear music thrumming through the walls. And there he was. Through the glass, Raven moved like his body was a weapon he didn't know how to put down. Every motion was sharp, punishing. Again and again, he hit the same step faster, harder, until his chest heaved and his legs trembled beneath him. This wasn't rebellion. This wasn't arrogance. It was obsession, the kind that doesn't let you rest, that eats you alive from the inside. When he finally collapsed onto the floor, gasping for breath, I stepped inside before I could think better of it. "You'll tear something if you keep pushing like that," I said. His head snapped up, hair plastered to his forehead, sweat dripping down his jaw. For a second, I saw something unguarded in his eyes, exhaustion maybe. Loneliness. Then his lips curved, quick as a blade. "Manager Ward," he drawled, his voice hoarse but still carrying that cocky edge. "Couldn't stay away, huh? Don't flatter yourself." I held up the clipboard. "I came for this. He leaned back on his hands, chest still rising hard with each breath. "And you just happened to find me here. Working." There was no smirk in his shaking hands, no rebellion in the way his shoulders slumped. But he wouldn't let me see it. I turned for the door. "Go home, Raven, before you break yourself in half." His low laugh followed me out. But so did the image of him, crumpled on the floor, burning himself alive just to stay ahead of something I couldn't see. 2 nights later, I found him again. This time, no music. Just his voice, low and unpolished, floating from the practice room when I came back late with contracts. I froze outside the door. Raven was sitting cross-legged on the floor, eyes closed, headphones around his neck, singing so softly it sounded like confession. No audience. No showmanship. Just raw, aching honesty. The sound twisted something deep inside me. I should have left. I knew it, but I couldn't move, until his eyes opened and locked straight onto mine through the glass. He didn't stop singing. If anything, he sang louder, the words curling into the space between us like a dare. I forced myself inside, keeping my expression hard. "You're supposed to be resting." "Caught me." He smirked, but there was a flicker of something nervous under it. "What are you going to do, write me up? Dock my pay? Don't tempt me. You liked it." His voice lowered, playful and cutting at once. "You stayed." I didn't answer. Because he was right. The first crack came a few days later. We were walking out of an interview when Raven fell into step beside me, too close. "Tell me, Cassian," he murmured, voice pitched low so the cameras couldn't hear. "Did you always want to be a manager? Or did you dream of something bigger before you tied yourself to a clipboard?" I shot him a glare. "It's none of your business." He grinned like that was an answer. "So there was something. Drop it." "No," he tilted his head, studying me. "You walk around like a wall no one can touch. But walls don't build themselves." What happened? Something hot flared in my chest. What happened is I learned people break when no one protects them. So I became the one who does. The words tore out before I could stop them. Raven froze, smirk slipping. For a heartbeat, he looked different. Respectful, almost. Then he recovered, flashing teeth. "So you're my knight in a suit, huh? Makes sense." I kept walking, ignoring the way his words lingered longer than they should have. The push and pull didn't stop. If anything, it sharpened. During rehearsals, he brushed past me too close, his shoulder grazing mine. In meetings, he leaned over my arm, eyes gleaming when my pulse jumped. He turned everything into a game. But sometimes, just sometimes, the mask cracked. Like the night I caught him asleep on the studio couch, body curled in on itself, dark circles bruising his eyes. He looked younger then. Softer. Like the weight he carried was too much for even him to pretend about. I draped a jacket over him without thinking. He stirred, lashes fluttering, catching me in the act. For once, no smirk. Just quiet eyes watching me. "Why?" he whispered. I swallowed. "Because you'll get sick." A pause. Then the corner of his mouth twitched. Not a grin. Not a smirk. Something smaller. More dangerous. "You do care." I turned away before he could see what that did to me. The next day, he pushed harder than ever. During choreography review, he cornered me against the mirror, eyes bright, a smirk tugging at his mouth. Careful, Cassian. People might start to think you like me. I shoved him back, harder than necessary. Don't do that. He tilted his head, smile sharp. But his eyes weren't mocking. They were searching. And for the first time, I wondered if Raven wasn't trying to break me at all. Maybe he was just trying to be seen. That night, lying awake in my apartment, his voice echoed in my head. Not the sharp words, not the smirks, but the raw, unguarded song he sang when he thought no one was listening. And I realized we weren't enemies. We weren't opposites. We were both just tired of being unseen. And that terrified me more than anything. Raven didn't make things easier after that night. If anything, he doubled down. Every day felt like a test I hadn't studied for. He brushed past me in crowded hallways, leaned close enough in the van that his breath stirred against my ear, whispered things that burned hotter than they should have. I told myself I was immune, that his games meant nothing. But the truth was, my pulse betrayed me every damn time. The first real blow came during a variety show taping. Raven was supposed to sit with the others, smile, laugh on cue, tell carefully polished stories about their trainee days. He hated every second of it. I could see it in the way his leg bounced under the table, his fingers twitching against his knee. And then he did it. The host asked if anyone had a secret weapon, a hidden charm the fans didn't know. Raven's eyes slid toward me in the wings. Slow, deliberate. My secret, he said, smirking. I've got someone who keeps me in line. Without him, I'd be a disaster. The cameras laughed, the audience cooed. The members chuckled like it was a harmless joke. But Raven never looked away from me. His gaze pinned me like a spotlight. My throat went dry. When the clip went viral later, edits of Raven smirking at the camera, captions screaming about his mystery protector. I nearly threw my phone at the wall. He was playing with fire. With my career. With his. I cornered him in the dressing room afterward, slamming the door shut behind me. What the hell was that? I snapped. Raven lounged on the couch like he'd been waiting. Relax, manager. I didn't name names. You might as well have. I stepped closer, heat boiling in my chest. Do you want to ruin yourself? Ruin both of us? His smile sharpened. Maybe I want to see if you'd care. The air between us went taut. My hands clenched at my sides, fighting the urge to grab him, shake him, anything to erase that smug look from his face. He leaned forward, voice low, eyes glinting. Tell me, Cassian, would it really be so bad if they knew? I snapped then, not with anger, but with something dangerously close to panic. My hands shot out, bracing the wall on either side of him, caging him in. Stop, I hissed. You don't know what you're doing. Raven's smirk faltered for just a second. His breath caught. Then he tilted his head, lips parting slightly, eyes dropping to my mouth. The world tilted. For one insane heartbeat, I almost leaned in. But sanity roared back. I pushed away like I'd touched fire. His smirk returned, weaker this time. Scared, manager? Of you. My voice was raw. No. Of what you'll destroy if you keep this up. Yes. For once, he didn't have a comeback. The scandal hit 2 days later. Paparazzi photos, me and Raven slipping out of the company van late at night. His hood low, his hand brushing my sleeve. One blurry frame caught us too close, shadows making it look like our faces nearly touched. The internet exploded. Secret lover? Raven's mystery man? Scandal brewing in Eclipse? I wanted to tear the headlines apart with my bare hands. The company called me in, voices sharp, accusations sharper. I swore nothing happened, that I was just doing my job. They half believed me. Or maybe they just didn't want to lose their golden boy over a rumor. But when I walked out of that office, Raven was leaning against the wall, arms crossed, smirk tugging at his lips. Not bad, he murmured. We look good together. I wanted to scream. Instead, I grabbed his wrist and dragged him down the hall, into an empty rehearsal room, slamming the door shut. What the hell is wrong with you? I hissed. He yanked his arm free, eyes flashing. With me? I didn't call those vultures. They'd follow me no matter what I do. You gave them a reason. I gave them nothing. His voice cracked, sharp as glass. They'll twist whatever they want anyway. At least this way, it feels like I have a say in it. For the first time, he wasn't smirking. His chest rose and fell too fast. His hands shook where they curled into fists. And suddenly I saw him. Not the rebel idol, not the brat who lived to test me, but a boy who'd been watched, chased, devoured by cameras for years, until he didn't know how to exist without performing. Raven, I started. Don't. He turned away, shoulders tense. Don't look at me like that. Like what? Like you see me. The words landed heavy in my chest. Without thinking, I reached out. My hand hovered over his shoulder, trembling with the weight of the choice. If I touched him, there'd be no going back. He turned then, eyes wide, searching mine. And for a breathless second, the world narrowed to just us. The distance between us vanished, an inch a breath. His lips parted, his gaze dropped to my mouth again. It would have been so easy to close that space. Too easy. But I couldn't. Not when my whole career, his career, hung in the balance. I pulled back, my hand falling to my side like stone. The flicker in his eyes snuffed out, replaced by a sharp, brittle smile. Figures. Always the professional. I swallowed hard. Someone has to be. The silence that followed was thick enough to drown in. When he finally walked past me, brushing my shoulder with deliberate carelessness, I stayed frozen, staring at the floor, heart pounding like a war drum. Because the truth was simple, terrifying, undeniable. I wanted him, and I couldn't have him. The storm broke on a night when I thought I'd finally found quiet. The members had gone home, the staff had cleared out, and I lingered in the office, drowning in paperwork I couldn't focus on. Rumors were spreading again, new clips, new proof of Raven's supposed mystery man. My name wasn't attached yet, but it was only a matter of time. And all I could think about was his face in the rehearsal room, the way he'd looked at me, lips parted, daring me to close the distance. The way I'd wanted to. A knock at the door cut through my thoughts. Before I could answer, it opened. Raven stepped inside. Hood up, eyes sharp, that familiar smirk tugging at his mouth. "You're still here," he said softly. I set down my pen. "What do you want?" He shrugged, shoving his hands into his pockets. Maybe I wanted to see if my manager was working himself to death again. "Don't." My voice came out rougher than I meant. "Don't joke right now." Something flickered across his face. He shut the door behind him and leaned against it, gaze never leaving mine. "You hate me, don't you?" he asked suddenly. The question knocked the air from my lungs. "What? You act like you can't stand me," he pressed, his voice lower, tighter. "But then you stay. You watch. You care. And I don't get it." I pushed back from the desk, standing. "Raven." "No," he crossed the room in 3 strides, fury and something raw burning in his eyes. "You push me away every time I get close. Every damn time. And I need to know why. Is it because of the company? The fans? Or is it me? Am I that unbearable to you?" The crack in his voice shattered my control. I grabbed his wrist before I could stop myself, dragging him closer, my words spilling out like fire. "You think this is easy for me?" My voice shook. "You think I don't want you? I've been fighting it every second since the day I met you. Because if I give in, I don't just risk my job, I risk you. Your career. Everything you've worked for. Do you understand what's at stake?" His breath caught. His lips parted, eyes wide. Then, before I could step back, he surged forward and kissed me. It was nothing like the smirks, the games, the taunts. It was desperate. Hungry. A storm breaking open after too long held back. His mouth moved against mine with reckless abandon, and for a heartbeat I stood frozen, drowning in the taste of him. Then every wall I'd built, every rule I'd clung to crumbled like ash. I kissed him back. Hard. My hands fisted in the fabric of his hoodie, dragging him closer. He pressed into me, all sharp edges and heat, fingers sliding up to clutch at my collar. The kiss deepened, messy and unrestrained, our breaths tangling, our chests heaving. He bit my lip lightly, a teasing challenge even now. I groaned against his mouth, one hand sliding up to his neck, tangling in his damp hair. He pulled back just enough to smirk, breathless. "Took you long enough." I didn't let him finish. I kissed him again, harder, pushing him back until his shoulders hit the wall. His laugh dissolved into a gasp as my mouth claimed his, as if I'd been starving, and he was the only thing that could satisfy the hunger. He tugged at my tie, pulling me even closer, his body pressed flush to mine. Every inch of him was fire, reckless and alive, and I couldn't get enough. For once, there was no audience. No stage. No games. Just us. When we finally broke apart, foreheads pressed together, our breaths came ragged, filling the quiet office like thunder. Raven's eyes searched mine, wide and uncertain in a way I'd never seen. "Tell me you regret it," he whispered. "Tell me you don't want me, and I'll stop." I swallowed hard, thumb brushing his jaw without thinking. "I can't, because I do want you. More than I should. More than I can explain." something unguarded lit in his eyes. His hand slid down my chest, resting over my heart. Then stopped pushing me away. I closed my eyes, fighting the war inside me. The rules, the risks, the weight of the world pressing down. And then I opened them, looking at him, really looking. I'd spent so long convincing myself I was protecting him by keeping my distance. But maybe what he needed wasn't protection. Maybe what he needed was someone who wouldn't leave, no matter how hard it got. I cupped his face, voice low but steady. Fine. No more running. But understand this, Raven. If we do this, it won't be easy. The world won't be kind to us. He leaned into my touch, a real smile breaking through the smirk. When has anything in my life ever been easy? A laugh escaped me, rough, breathless, disbelieving. You're insane. And you're mine, he shot back before pulling me into another kiss. The papers, the rumors, the company. I knew all of it would come for us. But with Raven pressed against me, his lips moving hungrily against mine, his hands clutching me like I was the only thing keeping him alive. For the first time, I didn't care. Because he was right. I wasn't just his manager anymore. I was his. And he was mine.